with all the physical challenges in the physical world or digital world that we are approaching with, people see it now, a social credit system that's supposed to be implemented, maybe through this new emergency state, monkeypox and what's coming, and climate, and all these different emergencies that are moving in. Do you see the human family going through another COVID-like reaction state? Or do you think that this time around it won't quite happen this way? Do you think we have evolved enough, collectively speaking, to deal with it differently?
Well, I think it's numbers. Indeed are some people just, again, following the same cycle they did before? Well, the answer must be yes, because people are lining up in places like Westchester, New York, I saw a report about, for the monkeypox, quote, vaccine. So the asleep will do asleep things. The difference is the numbers who will do it. I was very interested to see a clip with Anthony Fauci, who, let's not, pull punches, is a psychopathic, not just over, quote, COVID, but going way back to AIDS and many other things. And he was saying, and kind of ruining the fact that because of anti-vaxxers and misinformation and people being tired of COVID, people weren't doing what they were told anymore. It's a very simple equation. If 8 billion say no, then the tiny few trying to manipulate them cannot make them do things that they want them to do. They simply can't. The numbers game alone just destroys the ability of the few to manipulate the many. And there are far, far more people now than there ever has been who are deeply skeptical of authority and doing what authority tells them. And, you've got a very, very vehemently angry group, which doesn't get the opportunity to express itself, but you can see it if you look around. And they are the people that did do what they were told. They did believe what they were told about this fake, and they had it. And some of them died. Some of them have had their lives, health destroyed forever. Others, all of them have families that have watched it. And they are very, very angry at what's been done to them and how they've been manipulated. So, you put that lot together and you're talking about a very, very large number of people, more than ever before, who are skeptical enough of authority and suspicious enough of authority and have no confidence in what authority tells them, that they won't be an easy push next time. So it's more and more difficult for them. And so what they're trying to do is to create dependency on the authorities through economic collapse. That's in part in massive part, actually, what the lockdowns were about. If you take back this economic dismantling that's going on now, and you take it back to the start, well, you can really pick it up with the COVID lockdowns. That's what threw the spanner in the works of the economy worldwide. Of course it would. You're shutting everything down. What did you expect? They knew this was going to be the case. And what they've done by justifying stopping pipelines and fossil fuel excavations and looking for new sources on federal land, for instance, in America, and moving away from fossil fuels to totally inadequate so-called alternatives, is they've created an energy dependency on outside sources. what they've then done is systematically provoke those sources, in this case Russia, to do what they've done. They then say we have to have sanctions against Russia because of what they've done. And the effect of those sanctions is not to harm Russia, it's to harm the Western economy and people living in the Western world, which the whole plan is to dismantle Western society, which is what I've been saying for all these years was the plan. So when you are focused on trying to put food on the table, trying to afford fuel to do what you need to do, then your focus is on that, and it's not on many other things that would be detrimental to the cult if the focus was on that, like what the hell is going on and who's doing it to what end. So that they are throwing at us everything to break our spirit. That's what basically the collective reason for everything is to break our spirit, so we become subservient to do what we're told. And that's what I've been saying all these years is the plan to dismantle the economy, to stop the ability of people to have an independent income, independent of the authorities, so that they can introduce a guaranteed income on the basis of there's no other way that people can earn anything because everything's fallen apart. And this guaranteed income will come with the proviso that to get it, you've got to conform. And if you don't conform, you won't get it. And by the way, how else are you going to earn money to put food on the table? Because we've destroyed everything else. That's the plan. That's what the World Economic Forum plan and Klaus Schwab is all about. They're telling you that now, that that's what the plan is. And so if you look at the climate change and the COVID, and you look at the, quote, solutions to both, they're the same. They're the centralization of power over every area of our lives and the dictatorial imposition of that power. That's what it is. I mean, you know, if you are in a position whereby the food chain is being dismantled, the food supply chain, and then you tell Dutch farmers in a country that's the second biggest exporter of food in the world that you are going to introduce rules and regulations that will absolutely destroy them, and then you're going to take their land away, then you're not making a mistake. This is not incompetence. This is coldly calculated. But there's other ways of looking at this. For instance, if you were being subtle, you wouldn't do something as obvious as what they're doing in Holland. And they want to do something similar in Canada, of course, and elsewhere. You wouldn't do that. You try to hide it. But when you come out and say, we're introducing this legislation which is going to destroy farmers, and everyone knows it's going to destroy farmers, well, that's not trying to hide it. And I think one reason for that, may not be the only reason, but one big reason, is these people are now in a state of panic. You see, when you're hiding what you're doing under the radar, you can kind of relax because you're pushing your agenda on, but you're not alerting anybody. So the pushback is, I mean, I know this because I've been pushing back for 32 years. I know how little pushback there's been over the years up to this point. Because people, they couldn't directly see it. They didn't directly experience it. So I'm not really bothered, mate. Oh, it's just a theory. You know? But there comes a point, I said this was coming a long time ago, where if you're going to change society in the way that you want, there comes a point where society changes in the way you want. You can't hide it anymore. So what you have to do is move from hiding it to selling it. And this is what these lunatics at the World Economic Forum and others have been doing. They've been trying to sell it as a good thing. You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy and all this. However, once you break the surface and you put yourself on public display, which is pretty much what happened in the first few months of 2020. So they put themselves on public display. I said in one of those early interviews in 2020 that these people have now entered the room where they can be seen, and they've just heard the frickin' door click shut behind them. And that's what's happened. And so now they are having to try to get the points of control that could, not least through AI, into place as fast as possible, because they know that the longer they take to really shut everything down, the more people are going to awaken to what they're doing and the more trouble they're going to be in. So they're trying to rush it. Look at the speed they're trying to bring everything in. And in many ways, the Dutch government just announcing we're going to destroy farmers in the second biggest exporter of food in the world is an expression of that panic, of that need to push on, because they know that the longer they take to do it, now they're on public display, the more or less chance they have of reaching their goal, because enough people will wake up and see it and stop cooperating with it. So, you know, these are interesting times. And, you know, terrible as they are, there's an enormous amount to be encouraged by. I mean, if people were now as asleep as they were in the spring of 2020, we would be up the creek without a bloody paddle. We'd be up the creek without a canoe. But that's not the case. So there's lots of things to be encouraged by, as well as lots of challenges coming.
As you know, David Icke would never censor himself, nor would we ever want him to, but what he is sharing simply cannot be said on this platform. So we encourage you to jump over to the Inspired community on Locals to watch the full uncensored, unfiltered, inspired conversation with David Icke. It is absolutely free of charge. All you need to do is create an account if you haven't yet. The link is in the description. Please listen with your spirit, watch with your spirit, and enjoy this beautiful conversation with David Icke.